There has always seemed to have been some unresolved issues between the elves and the men of the Elder Scrolls. In the latest installment of the game series, Skyrim, this contention between Mer and Man was displayed more prominently than ever before. In this video, we'll discuss just why the men and Mer of Nirn argue on almost everything from religion and culture to methods of combat. In the end, all of the disagreements between the elves and men all come down to religion. In a sense, the elves believe that the world is a trap that forces them to be mortal and to perish. On the other hand, the men of Tamriel believe that the mortal plane is a construct that allows them to reach immortality. To understand this difference in opinion, it's best that we look at the creation myths of both the men and the High Elves. Let's start with that of the elves. In order to look at the religion of the elves as a whole, we have to go way back in Nirn's history. Actually, we have to go so far back in Elder Scrolls history that Nirn didn't exist yet. The T.E.S universe didn't have a big bang, but it did have something similar. The birth of the universe in Elder Scrolls lore was also the birth of a being called Anu. The elves see Anu as more of a concept, rather than a living being. Anu is the living embodiment of the universe. It had no mind, it had no thoughts, it was just everything. Anu would eventually have a son that was sentient. Anuel is referred to as the soul of the universe by the elves. Anuel was the son and the soul of Anu. He was the part of the universe that was truly sentient. Anuel is often seen as the light and order of the universe. After his creation, it would not be long before Anuel would find that he had a sibling. Sithis was born after Anuel, and Sithis was chaos and change personified. The first of the elder spirits to form after Anuel and Sithis was Auriel. When Auriel was born, time began to tick. With time allowing the universe to be a bit more orderly, other spirits began to find that they could form. Spirits like Mephala and Lorcan and Magnus were born. The birth of Lorcan would signal another major change in the universe of the Elder Scrolls. Lorcan did not bring about time, or order, or chaos, but he did do something else of major importance. Lorcan conceived the idea of Nirn and of the mortal plane. With a little convincing, he managed to get the other elder spirits on board with the idea of creating the mortal plane of Mundus. Lorcan even managed to get Auriel to agree to help him after promising the time god that it was he who would have been the king of the new world. At first, the other spirits went about creating Nirn joyously. However, this would not last long. Soon, the gods found that their creation of the mortal plane was killing them and sapping all of their power and vitality. Some of the elder spirits fled the world that they had created, abandoning it to die. Some of the spirits, however, were too weak to escape Nirn by this point. These spirits would have surely have died if the likes of Auriel and a group of other spirits that still had enough power to escape Nirn but chose not to, hadn't remained behind to sacrifice themselves and to ensure that Nirn would not die. Auriel and his selfless brothers and sisters became the pillar that stabilized and held up creation. They saved their brothers and sisters. The rest of the spirits that could not escape Nirn were eventually forced to procreate just to keep from fading into nothing. The children of the weakened elder spirits became the races that inhabit Tamriel. Meanwhile, Lorcan assembled the weakest of the dying elder spirits and formed them into an army of men. The trickster god was intent on conquering the plane of existence that he had tricked the other gods into creating. Auriel and the elves stood against Lorcan and his men. They refused to lose what little that they had left. At first, the elves and Auriel were forced back. In battle after battle they lost ground. However, eventually, Trinimac, a champion of Auriel, defeated Lorcan in single combat and cut out his heart. And yet, when Trinimac and Auriel attempted to destroy Lorcan's heart, they found that it was tied to the mortal plane, and was thus indestructible. So, the elves believed that the mortal plane stripped them of their divinity, and killed their gods. They also see the races of men as the deluded servants of Lorcan. But what about the men? What did they believe? Well, the creation myth of men is much the same as that of the elves. Auriel is referred to as Akatosh, and some other names are changed, yet there is really only one major difference in the creation myths of the elves and the men. The men of Tamriel don't see Nirn as a trap. They don't believe that they're the descendants of the gods. Men believe that the gods lovingly crafted the world and sacrificed themselves to create the races of men and to give them life. The men believe that Lorcan was the architect of the world, and that he is their patron god, and that the devious elves slew him. In the eyes of the men, the elves killed their chief creator. In the eyes of the elves, the men served the demon god that is responsible for their suffering on the mortal plane. The elves trace all their pain, all their sickness, and hunger, and aging to Lorcan. The elves see life as a punishment for the elder spirit's gullibility. The men see it as a gift that was lovingly bestowed. All of the strife between the elves and men can be traced back to the beginning of Nirn, and how they see it having taken place. Which of the races is correct? This is not clear. Truthfully, neither race really knows, and they likely never will. Hey guys, this is Nate. I'm the creator of LoreStream Productions and the writer, narrator, and the editor of the video that you just watched. This one took a few hours to make. Actually, it takes me around 2 to make a video, 1 to edit and write the script, and another just to polish everything up. This is my hobby and I love doing it, because I love the worlds and stories that I comment on, and I love entertaining you guys. There's more videos on the channel like this if you think you'd like to check them out, and there will probably be even more by the time you see this. If you could drop a like, a comment, or a subscription if you're feeling generous, that would mean the world to me. I just hope you enjoyed this video and the others that you'll be getting soon. This has been Nate from LoreStream, hoping you have a great week. Thanks for watching.